Okay, so we're going to, in this video, going to make some of the 3D isometric shapes that you've drawn on paper. We're going to actually make them in 3 dimensions, and you're going to end up with something that looks like this. So you can obviously make cuboids, simple cuboids, that's fine, but it'd probably be better if you try to make some more complex shapes. Maybe have a go at a simple shape, fairly simple shape like this first, but then I would like you to try and create some more complex shapes. If you haven't drawn the shapes on your page, you can have a go at drawing them first, sketching them first, and then have a go at making them. The important thing is, what we want to show is that you can take a 2-dimensional drawing, but obviously it's a 3-dimensional drawing, isometric drawing, of paper, and you can actually create that form in reality in 3 dimensions. We're going to be using corrugated card. It's cheap, it's easy to cut, it's readily available, we've got lots of it. You're going to need a cutting mat. I've only got a small one here, you should have a larger one. You're going to need a knife, you're going to need a safety rule, and you're going to need a pencil. We're also going to look at how we're going to, different ways of gluing these together. We're going to glue them using a hot glue gun. We're also going to use some tape as well, double-sided tape and masking tape, as alternative ways of joining them together. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the side, okay, of the shape. Okay, in this case we've got a rectangle with the corner cut off to create this shape here. That's what I'm going to start with. So first of all, I'm going to decide on the width of my shape. Now with this shape I did it 80 millimeters. The second one I'm going to create is going to be a little bit shorter, so 60 millimeters. I've got about an A4 piece of card here. You should have an A4 piece or an A3 piece in front of you. I'm going to start by creating a strip of card that is 60 millimeters for the sides. So I'm going to start in a corner. So if you've got a scrap piece of card and it's not being cut by a machine, it won't have a 90-degree corner. So obviously this is 90 degrees here. You can check that with a tri-square, or you can put it on the corner of your table or the corner of the cutting mat, just to test whether this line is perpendicular to the bottom one. And that's fine. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the top corner here. I'm going to measure along 60 millimeters. Remember, 0 isn't always at the end of the ruler. 0 is here on this mark here where it says centimeters. And I'm going to mark out for 60 millimeters. I'm using millimeters. 60 millimeters, 6 centimeters. And then I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the corrugated card. Hold my ruler securely against the bottom, and then mark again. When you're marking, remember, just mark in the direction of the line on the ruler. Okay, don't mark horizontally to be accurate. Then I'm going to put my ruler on the top mark there, and on the bottom mark, line that up. I'll make sure I'm lined up at the bottom here. It's off the bottom of the screen, but you know what I mean. And then I'm going to draw a line all the way down. Okay, and there you go. So this is going to be my first cut. I'm going to put my card diagonally across my board, because it's quite a short board, but you should be able to do this vertically. The key is to keep your fingers away from the edge of the ruler, so you're not going to cut yourself. You need to stay safe. Obviously this is a safety ruler. Make sure you are using a safety ruler. Don't use a plastic ruler. It has to be metal and a safety rule. You should have one. Put your fingers in the middle, spread your hand out so you're supporting this end and this end of the ruler at the same time, so it's not going to slip and slide around. And then this is a retractable blade. You might not have a retractable blade. If it is retractable, lock it so it doesn't move. If it isn't, just go ahead. The proper way to hold a knife, don't hold it like a pencil. If you hold it like a pencil, you'll clash with your other hand. 2, the blade tends to slip under the ruler. So we're going to hold it so that the end of the knife is in the palm of your hand, and your index finger, your pointy finger, is on the top, your thumb one side, and then your other finger this side as well. And your finger needs to be against the end of the knife, not up here. down here, and that way you can get a really nice cut. Put the blade into the card, and then I'm going to get my blade nice and straight, so don't tilt it, so you want it nice and straight, vertical, and then all the way down. I can't actually go all the way down because I'm off the end of the board. A couple of times, maybe 3, should do it until you feel the board. You'll know when you've cut all the way through. I'm just going to do this a bit. Don't rush, take your time. Okay, and there we have it. And you do a nice straight cut, no jagged edges. Okay, you're not going to, like you've cut through it with a blunt pair of scissors. Okay, it's a nice straight cut. Okay, now the height of my box, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to half this length. Okay, if I measure it, 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters. So I'm going to put a mark on 150, 15, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to twist it round and put the ruler against the edge of the card and mark against the edge. I'm not going to mark in the middle. You always mark out 2 points, one here and one here, one side, one the other side, and then you draw a line between those 2 points. That way it's accurate. Knife again, safety rule on there, press down. When you're ready, knife nice and straight, bring the knife through. Okay, you want a nice sharp blade as well. There we go. So this is going to form the 2 sides of the shape. I'm going to, like this shape, there's going to be a cut off corner. So to do that, what I'm going to do is decide on the measurements for that. So I'm going to go 20 millimeters. Again, putting my ruler against the edge. And I'm going to go 40 down to create quite a steep angle. So I've marked off those 2 points here and here and drawn a line between them. Get my knife out again. Safety rule on there, hands on the safety rule, fingers in the middle, knife nice and straight, bring the knife through a couple of times. Should cut through, that's nice. There we go. Now save us doing that again, save a bit of time. I want them to be identical, so I'm just going to use this one as a template. You must line it up the corners though before you do this, and then I'm going to draw in my line there, and I know this way, I know that they are going to be identical. I could get the measurements wrong. There we go, so we've got our 2 sides. Now obviously if you wanted to add another cut off, you could do that, and so on and so forth. You could keep going, you could angle this side, and obviously the more cuts, the more corners you cut off, the more cuts you make, the more complex your shape will get. In fact, let's do that. So this is going to be a little bit more complicated. So you don't have to do this to begin with, but I'm going to go from this corner all the way down there. And this will be a bit of a test. There we go, mobilities. And then next one, I'm going to put them on top of each other, line them up, and then draw that line in there. Oops, didn't quite get the pencil on the card. Make sure I do this time. Go that a couple of times. There we go. Doing a lot of twisting around. You always obviously cut towards yourself. You never cut away from yourself. Remember that position with your finger over the edge of the knife. Okay, so there we go. They have the 2 sides of the shape, the 3D form I'm going to make. Now I've got the sides, I can use those to mark out the other pieces, but first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide now on the width of my shape. So I've got the sides, now I'm going to, well the thickness, but the width of my shape. So the width of this, I think I made this, I think this was 60, yeah it was. So I'm going to make that 60 as well. So I'm happy with that width. So again, ruler against the top, ruler against the bottom, nice and straight, be accurate. keep an eye on your measurements. If you're not sure, measure it twice. Same again, I'm creating a strip. So basically creating strips of card, and then from the strips of card you're making the sides and all the pieces for your 3D form. Okay, put that to one side. I've got a strip again there. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to create the back of that shape. So if I put my side piece next to the strip I've just cut, what I'm going to do is put a little mark there, and then I'm going to flip it over and put it the other side. I have to swap hands with the pencil for this because it's a little bit tricky to do it. There we go. Okay, and I've used the side piece to measure that accurately. I could measure it obviously, so I could measure that and then use that measurement, which is 150. But this is an easy way of doing it. Then I'm going to cut that across there like that. Okay, so that's the kind of the back piece made. Now I need to do the front piece. So I'm going to get my strip. The front piece is this piece here, this line here. So line up that with the bottom and then a little mark. Do the same on the other side. The corrugated card might get a little bit squashed in places, but that doesn't matter. And then I haven't drawn a line that time. I've got my two marks. Oops, not quite gone through. Okay, let's stretch the knife out a little bit more. So that's that piece, the front piece. Now, while I've got these two pieces now I'm going to start to actually glue this together. So one way of gluing it together is to use a glue gun. If you have one handy, if you can plug one in, ideally you can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue down, not too much, that will do it. It'll probably be a little bit too much on the end there, so I'm just going to spread that out a little bit. Glue gun to one side, put it somewhere safe, and then I'm going to stick the edge of that onto there like so. Okay, there we go. Need to make sure that is 90 degrees. So you can check that with the end of your ruler. That looks good. Or a set square. When the glue's cooled down a little bit, don't do this to begin with, but when it's cooled down a little bit, you can actually just scrape the little bits off. You have to give it at least 30 seconds for you to be able to do that, otherwise you'll burn your fingers. You need to be careful. And then I'm going to do the other side. So you're going to squeeze the trigger, not too much, and then you're going to drag at the same time, just to spread the glue out. Probably important that you've got some glue in the centre, some glue at each end. There we go. There we go, I'm quite happy with that. Stand that up again, just check that angle there. If any glue comes out, count to 30. I've got a little bit here. About 30 seconds count, and then you can just smooth that out. Just pull that off, that's fine. Okay, there we go. I've already made the front. That's my front piece, just check that. Yes, it is. Just make sure your edges are all nice and flat and straight. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue on here. Well, this time actually, if you haven't got any glue, we can use tape. So this case I'm going to use some masking tape. So the tape doesn't have to go all the way down. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try and hide the tape inside, like so. So So what I'm going to do is just fold the tape over. So I've put the tape on the edge I want to stick, fold it over, and then I'm going to put it in place like that, and then just by putting my hand inside the shape, you can see I'm using my thumbs to flatten that tape out, and you want the front edge, you want that to be nice and neat, so you can see the tape inside. That's basically what you're going to do. Okay, don't put the tape on the outside. I'm going to hide it. I'll do the side as well. So I've got some tape here. So this is masking tape. A little bit trickier, so just need to open it up a little bit. Don't pull it too much because it will come off. Tape on the inside. You could put both pieces of tape on before you do this. Just fold it over, put that in place where you want it, and then again I'm just using my finger inside there to smooth the tape down, get a nice join. That's worked really well. It won't be as good a join as the glue gun, so glue gun would be preferable. So we've got a glue gun here, we've got a tape here, so there's two ways you can join it. You can see my shape is starting to take form. I like it. It's going well. So to finish it off, I need another strip, so you have to cut yourself another strip. Here's one I cut earlier. 60mm. It doesn't have to be 60mm. You can do yours wider. You can do it. I wouldn't do them any smaller than this because they're going to be very fiddly. So if you start to make it and it pretends that it's coming out as this really small, then I would scale it up a little bit. So for this one, I'm going to put the shape in. You have to be fairly dexterous to do this, and I'm going to hold it, pinch it in place with my thumb and my finger, and just mark off on that corner. Again, you can draw a line across. Remember, always draw a line between 2 points that you've marked off. There we go. If you want to, you can check it. Is it going to fit? Yeah. For the top, you might want to cut it a little bit shorter to allow for the top we're going to put on. So you can see that I'll just cut it not too short, but I've cut it a little bit shorter. As you can see there's a gap between here and the top corner. Ready for the top. So you want it to fit nicely. I'm obviously using separate pieces for this. You could obviously use one piece and then you could fold it at that point. Okay, but we're just using, for this demonstration, we're using separate pieces. The next way I'm going to join is double-sided tape. So you might have some double-sided tape. So this is a little bit trickier. Double-sided tape tends to be very sticky. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of tape out the size or the length of the piece I'm going to put in, or the width of the piece I'm going to put in rather. And in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the tape to the sides of the box or the cuboid I'm making, or the 3D form, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to peel those off. Now peeling double-sided tape off can be very tricky. If I'm lucky, there we go, it's come off. So you're peeling the back of the tape off. That's what makes it double-sided. So I'm not using normal tape. So it's not masking tape, it's double-sided. Just careful not to rip it. So you can see that it's sticky in there, and it's sticky in there. Get my piece, and then I'm just going to push that into place, and hopefully the double-sided tape will do its job, and we'll stick that in place. You see, I've got a join, quite a join here, but that's okay. I'm not too fussed about that. Like I said, you could make that out of one piece and angle that there. That stuck really well. Okay, there you go. The last piece is the top. You could obviously fill in the bottom as well. Okay, let's do that. The top piece is going to sit inside there. So it just needs to be cut a little bit shorter than the back of the box. So you see I'm putting it in place again, marking it out. You could measure it if you wanted to, it's up to you. I'm not going to draw a line, I'm just going to go ahead and cut across the 2 marks. Okay, don't be lazy with your cutting, make sure you're cutting, or make sure your cut goes all the way through. Just clear a bit of that mess away. And let's just test it before we go ahead and put it in. See, I've just dislodged my side piece slightly there. Just needs a little bit of encouragement to get in. Okay, it's a little bit too big, so back to the board. Just need to take a little slice off. It's tricky. If you're starting to rip the corrugated card, then it might be time to change the blade. You just ask a member of staff, they will help you do that. Cut that down. There we go. Okay. Again, you could do this with tape, double-sided tape or masking tape. I'm going to do it with a glue gun. Glue either side. I'm only going to glue the sides. I'm not going to glue the back as well. You can do if you want to, but I'm not, just so it's easier to get in. Okay, if you do get glue on your fingers, just rub them together really quickly. Takes the heat off. Again, wait 30 seconds or so before you wipe the glue. Okay, and there we go. Okay, that's not bad. It's pretty good. I'm going to do the bottom as well. Feel that. Okay, again, hold it on top there. Take into consideration the thickness of the corrugated board. 2 marks, be accurate as you can, and then lock your knife into position. Nice cut across, that cuts nicely. Okay, there we go. I'm going to do it with some tape this time, just to show it can be done. So I'm going to get the tape positioned there, and I'm going to put a bit of tape in position here. Ready to go. I'm going to fold the tape over. Now this is going to be tricky because I can't actually get into the box, so I'm going to have to stick down one side and then hope that right, so that's not going to work, is it? So what I'm going to have to do is either glue gun it or use some double-sided tape. Get the double-sided tape and cut a piece off to go inside there, that side. There we go, and a piece to go on this side to create those sticky edges. Now I might need some help with the knife this time, just to peel that off. There we go. Try not to take the tape with it, just peel off the back end of the tape. So you can just see I'm just using my knife just to get the edge of the corner of the tape. There we go, until it comes off, and then just peel that off. There we go. Fingers crossed. That should now stick into place. We'll just squeeze it, squeeze the sides. There we go, fantastic. So I've got a full 3-dimensional shape here. There we go. I'll move my other one. Okay, there you go. So have a go at creating some 3D forms using corrugated card from the isometric drawings and sketches that you've done. Try a simple shape first, and then try and make them a bit more complex. Do around 5 or 6 shapes I would expect, and then I'm going to show you how to combine them to create a bit of sculpture or a bit of architecture a bit later on. There you go.